So I suppose if you are the governor and you're saying, well, it doesn't say I can't do this explicitly, then if you're the governor or the legislature or whoever else is promoting this, then your argument is, well, unless the Constitution says I cannot do something, even when it says here's the process I have to follow in order to do something, that means I can do whatever I want. So that argument is a massive expansion of government power. Again, that's kind of the theme between the two of these things. They're trying to say, one, we can do whatever we want, and two, you can't tell us what to do. That's a pretty bad combination. Looks like Missouri is heading to a redistricting process for our congressional districts, and we're joining an effort across the country right now, pushed by some folks in Washington, D.C., who think that our maps that we have are just not good enough. The effort is to reduce Missouri's Democratic holdings, which aren't that many right now. We've got 6 Republicans and 2 Democrats holding congressional seats in our state. The effort would make that 7 Republicans and 1 Democrat, primarily by breaking up Kansas City into little pieces and divvying up the Democrats across that area so that it would be very hard for a Democrat to win election in one of those congressional seats over there. The one Democratic seat that would be left would be in St. Louis. My name is Elad Gross. I am a constitutional and civil rights attorney here in Missouri. I sue the government for a whole bunch of things, and it sure looks like this will be headed to litigation too, because in our state constitution, we have a requirement that this type of redistricting occurs after a census. And we did it after the last census. And there's no authorization to do it again without a new census. But let's see what the governor has to say. We'll bring him on. And Governor, if you're watching, you're welcome to come on live anytime, and we can have this discussion or discussion about some other topics too. But he did put out an announcement video, so we'll let that run through so you can see what he has to say, and then we'll talk about some of the issues that are being presented by our governor the Friday before Labor Day. Big day for big announcements. All right, here's our governor. Let's see what he has to say.
Missouri's conservative common sense values, rooted in faith, family, and freedom, should be truly represented at all levels of government, local, state, and federal. Because representation isn't just about districts and lines on one map. And our Constitution shouldn't be the victim of out-of-state special interests who spend millions to deceive voters and pass out-of-touch policies. It's the responsibility of the state legislature to ensure that values of Missouri families and communities are represented in Washington, D.C. and in our state. In Missouri, Republicans hold over 90% of local county offices and have held every statewide seat. I have been reminded time and time again, through both good times and bad times, Missourians are more alike than we are different. And our Missouri values across both sides of the aisle are closer to each other than those of the extreme left representation of New York, California, and even as close as Illinois. That's why today I'm calling for a special session on congressional redistricting and initiative petition reform to ensure our districts and Constitution truly reflect Missouri values and put Missourians' priorities first. I appreciate President Donald Trump for raising the level of conversation on this matter, because his leadership on this nationally underscores just how important this moment is for Missouri. So beginning Wednesday, September 3rd, the Missouri legislature will reconvene in Jefferson City. And today, I'm prepared to show you what we believe that map looks like. This is the Missouri First map. This map was drawn here, made here, for here, by our team. It splits fewer counties and municipalities than the current version, while preserving 2 congressional districts as they currently stand. And it retains each member of Missouri's current congressional delegation in their current districts. Again, no existing member will be displaced. They will all still live in their current district. It's simpler, cleaner, stronger. After a lot of thought, prayer, and conversation, I want to assure you that this is not a decision I've made lightly. I hope the legislature will work together to pass this map and critically needed IP reform to stay true to our Missouri First values. This is about clarity for voters and ownership of our future. And with the Missouri First map, we can deliver. Thank you, and God bless.
I've got a little graphic for the map, too. All right, there's some issues with what the governor has to say, and I guess he's off the screen now, so we can take him off the screen. One, and for those who don't know, he mentioned IP reform. That's initiative petition reform. It's something that he mentioned earlier on in the video about how voters are being deceived at the ballot box by all of these issues that we're voting on. I don't know if that's a shot at voters, like we don't know what we're doing when we are going to vote. Recently, Missourians actually did go, and we've done this a lot. We voted to ban puppy mills, for example, in Missouri. Most recently, we voted to have paid leave for workers here in Missouri and increase in that minimum wage as well. And we've had legislatures and governors that have decided that they know better than us. And what he's talking about when he's saying initiative petition, or you might hear it as IP reform, is to make it harder for voters to either, one, vote on those issues, so make it more than 50%, 50% plus one. So make it a higher threshold for voters to actually pass something. Make it harder for folks to collect signatures, because you have to collect a whole ton of signatures in that process. There's actually one group that doesn't have to collect any signatures at all, and they can put stuff on the ballot. It doesn't sound like he's talking about reforming anything for them, and that's the state legislature. What is being proposed here would actually concentrate more power in our government and less power in what the people are voting on and what we are deciding, especially when our government isn't doing what we want it to do. There's a reason why we have the initiative petition process in Missouri in the first place, and that initiative petition is supposed to be a check on governmental power. When they're not doing what we want them to do, we have an opportunity to put something on the ballot and make them do what we want them to do. So there's a lot of conversations about the millions and millions of dollars that are spent one way or another. Sometimes those millions of dollars work, and sometimes it doesn't seem like they do. And to say that voters are being deceived one way or another, I mean, if you're putting out fair language about what's going on, I maybe start with that. Unfortunately, we've got some folks in elected office right now who put out pretty deceptive language and expect folks to vote on language that doesn't even reflect what we're actually voting on, because usually that's a lot longer. But that's what initiative petition reform, this whole thing is about. It really, at the end of the day, it would reduce Missourians' power at the ballot, and it would increase the power that our government has over us to make decisions about our day-to-day lives. The redistricting stuff is what's happening all across the country. And what the governor is calling for, he's calling for a special legislative session, also known as an extraordinary legislative session too, when the governor calls it. And that's a session that is beyond what normally happens with the legislature. We have a part-time legislature here in Missouri, so if they have to come in after that part-time is over, well, then that makes it special or extraordinary. And you know what makes it even more special or more extraordinary is the fact that we have to pay even more money as taxpayers for them to come in and do that work. So more taxpayer money being spent on this. There's no discussion about why this is needed other than to reflect Missouri's values. I think he used 3 F's there. That's nice. Family, freedom. I think faith was one too. Fairness was not one. It didn't appear there. It also starts with an F. So maybe this whole thing just gets an F right now. But the problem is, if you are redistricting, you are doing that for some reason. And the reason that we normally redistrict, and that's what it says in our state constitution, we redistrict because the population has changed. And we've had that happen in Missouri. We've lost congressional seats. Another state has gained one because their population increased. We've got a problem right now. Our population really isn't changing all too much, and it's hurting our state. So it's not like we've got a population change here that all of a sudden we need a new census. It's possible that the federal government could conduct another census, I suppose, but we don't have that here. So it's not like we have a new count of Missourians to base this off of. In fact, the only count that we have is one that was from the beginning of the decade. Now that we're in the middle of the decade, it's older. It's older data than we used, in time than we used when we drew these districts in the first place. So now we're using old data that may not even reflect the current population here in Missouri to redraw districts. The big issue here is that Article 3, Section 45 of Missouri's Constitution does not allow this. It requires a census that then initiates this whole process by which the governor can ask the legislature to do all these things. The legislature actually passes these districts as a law, so it would go through the same process. It's a bill, becomes a law once the governor signs it. And in Missouri, in addition to the initiative petition, I wonder if this is part of the reform too. Part of our initiative process also includes a referendum, which means that Missourians have the right to say, legislature, you pass something, we don't like it, we are going to go collect signatures, and we're going to repeal that law before it goes into effect, essentially nullifying what the legislature did. We actually did that pretty recently here in Missouri when it came to an anti-labor effort, the right to work effort here in Missouri. That was passed by the legislature, was signed by the governor, and voters then went to the ballot, and we said, no, we don't want it. So we actually got a lot of signatures first, which was the big effort behind it, and it passed overwhelmingly to really take that away and put that out of our laws. So the same thing could happen in this situation too if they do proceed. But again, it is unconstitutional. It's not allowed under the Constitution. So I suppose if you are the governor and you're saying, well, it doesn't say I can't do this explicitly, then if you're the governor or the legislature or whoever else is promoting this, then your argument is, well, unless the Constitution says I cannot do something, even when it says here's the process I have to follow in order to do something, that means I can do whatever I want. So that argument is a massive expansion of government power. Again, that's kind of the theme between the two of these things. They're trying to say, one, we can do whatever we want, and two, you can't tell us what to do. That's a pretty bad combination when it comes to our democratic republic overall, but just our system of government here in the United States. But that is the current proposal. Other than the fact that it's chopping up Kansas City into parts, which may very well violate federal law and the Voting Rights Act, that's a whole different topic. But I will say this. Look, I think it's nice that we've got these videos from the governor. We haven't really seen this before in different administrations with an explanation, but it would be nice if the explanation made some sense and was legal. Because otherwise, not only are we spending a whole bunch of money for him to make that very nice video, we're also spending a bunch of money for the legislature to come into session to do something they're not allowed to do, and then we're going to have the governor probably put on this whole thing and sign it after it's done, but then there's going to be a lawsuit. So in addition to a referendum process where we're all collecting signatures, there's also going to be a lawsuit, and the state is going to be forced to defend something that is unconstitutional. We're going to be spending money on attorneys. We're going to be spending money on experts to say, well, here's why the district needs to look this way, to try to justify it to a judge. And if they get past the fact that it's not legal anyway, and we are going to be diverting state resources from doing things for Missourians like, I don't know, maybe making groceries more affordable, or fixing our roads, or spending money to go after scammers and other people who are stealing our money all the time, law enforcement, making our streets safer. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things our government could be doing instead of this, but I guess those DC values are really winning out over Missourians. So, unfortunately, this, in my view, looks to be a massive power grab by the government. It's surprising to see that from folks who call themselves conservative and are supposed to believe in smaller government. This is big government. This is pretty much as big as government can get. If this is something that does go forward and somehow a judge rules opposite to everything that we've had ruled on before on this stuff and says that the government can do whatever it wants, where where do they stop? And no matter what party you're in, no matter whether you think everybody should be a Republican or everybody should be a Democrat, I mean, is this really what we want? We want the governor to be able to tell us what to do whenever. I mean, I don't know. I've always felt that in Missouri, we have a long history here of being skeptical of government, especially being skeptical of folks in Washington, D.C., trying to tell us how to live our lives and what we should do. And sure seems like that's not what this is. So, yeah, that's my my look at this admittedly very nice looking video. But if you'd like to learn more about this topic, I put out a longer video. I think it's longer. I don't know. Maybe I've been talking for a long time here too, so maybe this one's a little bit longer. But about 15-minute video out there describing what is redistricting, kind of giving you the source of authority to do redistricting, so that applies across the country because it is different depending on what state you're in. With the big, I guess I'm giving you spoiler alert on that video, but the big difference is what our state constitutions say. And in Missouri, our state constitution, again, Article 3, Section 45, is very clear, and it says the census has to be done first. And we aren't even pretending like we're doing that here. So you can watch that video. It's up on YouTube. Go check it out. We'll see if we can link it up here. But what do you think? Do you think that the governor's making sense? Do you think that we should be redistricting right now? Do you think that it makes sense that we should be doing this for political reasons rather than for population reasons? Is it all about, whatever party has 90% of the offices, local offices, whatever he said, the statistic that he gave, and in all the statewide offices, despite the fact that we're voting, pretty much 60-40, 60% Republican, 40% Democrat across the state. And in Kansas City, I mean, they're voting Democrat. In St. Louis, they're voting Democrat, but we're eliminating the Democrat representing Kansas City right now. Do you think that makes sense, that it should be winner take all the time, and that maybe we don't even need two parties anymore? I don't know what the end result of this is, but put your comments down there, see what you think. If you agree or you disagree with what the governor's doing, let him know. Give him a call. There's still time for folks to change their minds, but unfortunately, in my experience, most of the changing of minds happens after a judge tells them they have to change their minds, and it sure looks like that's what's going to happen here. So anyway, thanks all, and yeah, put your comments down. Love to see them. Take care.